Right, good morning, guys. So I've come to the decision. I've had a letter from Rother Valley asking whether I wanted to join again. I mean, I was a member of here for a couple of years, but I've had a letter off them today asking if I want to join. I had the license. Environment Agency have sent me a letter today asking if I want to rejoin as well, whether I need another license. So I need another license as well, and I've also had a message from the section of canal that I fish saying that ticket's up. So talk about everything happening in one day, but it's like I said on a post earlier on, it's going to work out about for everything. License. I know my ticket is probably going to work out for about 150 quid, so you pay that for a winter ticket on most venues, so it's not a big thing at all. It's not bad at all. So next week I'm going to be joining Rother Valley. I'm going to get a ticket for Rother Valley. I'm going to rejoin Treaton. I'm going to get my license sorted. I'm going to also I may get a ticket for that canal that I fished. And I fished it a couple of times this year, but for money. It's worth it. You can park your car right at, behind where you fish, so to me it's well worth it. So, but I just thought I'd get back to you on really that's where I'm going for, and I've finally come to that decision. So I've been baiting Treaton, but I've also been baiting Mozzie as well, Rother Valley. With a simple reason behind that being, the reason it's called, that we call it mozzie, was originally that when we very first started fishing it, is me and my brother were doing that far bank, we call it Goose Shit Corner, and he come out of his bib at about 8 or 9 in the morning when he normally gets up, and his face were just, it looked like someone had been chucking darts at him through the night. He just had marks all over his face, and when he undid his door, it was absolutely full of mosquitoes. So from that day on, we called it mozzie pit. So that's where that comes from. Now, pretty much similar with the name of the fish on there, the Scar. I named the fish Scar. When I very first had it, had a really bad scar on its side, and but it's healed really well that over the years. I've had it now about 4 times, and every time I've had it, it's healed better and better and better. But the first time I had it, it was a pretty bad scar. It's so that's where that name comes from. Cluster as well. The target, all of them really are names that I come up with over the years of my fishing Rother Valley. Now, Rother Valley to me is it's all about really 2 baits on Rother Valley. Now, I'm not gonna mention the baits that I will be using on Rother Valley, but that's the bait I'm solely going to be rolling now, is because Rother Valley is the place I'm going to be fishing. The fish are far bigger in Rother Valley, the bigger weights. Now, I know that it's not all about weights, and I know that, but it's the way they look as well. They're really, really lovely fish. They're old. They've been in there years and years and years. The water clarity is good, so the fish get dark, but they're really, really deep fish. Now, the fish are lovely in Treaton as well, but the majority of them are very small, and even the big fish ain't that big. They're not that big. They're beautiful fish and they're well worth fishing for. That's nothing. I'm not taking anything away from anyone that's fishing Treaton, because I still will be fishing Treaton myself, but it's gonna be just bits here and there. I will be honest with you, the main reason that really Treaton appeals to me really is because you can park your car behind where you fish, and it's just, I'm thinking about it last night, and it's ridiculous. I'm fishing it because I can park behind where I fish. It's once I get stuff on barrow and I'm going across that field and I'm set up. I love Rother Valley, I love mozzie. Anyone that knows me knows that. And those fish in Rother Valley there is the long fish, but they're deep as well. They're really deep fish, and when I say deep, I mean they're deep fish, and they've got the width to them. And now there's a few good fish in there, not as big as what's in North Lake on Rother Valley. The fish in North Lake, in my own opinion, are bigger than the fish in the nature reserve that's on Rother Valley. The fish in the North Lake are huge. I've seen them with my own eyes, and they are really some big fish. There's some very big fish in here, and some scaly bangers, and also some nice commons. I've seen them down the edge at margins, but it's so hard to fish. It really is so hard to fish. You get a set up, and then you'll get a speedboat club come over here. I don't mean speedboats that you drive. I mean the electric ones, the ones that they do, know what I mean, the remote control ones. You get speedboats going over it, and then like a replica of Titanic coming over it. I was fishing it, and I was like, what's going on? You know, and I was like, what's going on here? Speedboats going over, and then Titanic come past. What was I tripping? Thought someone had put something in my coffee or something. Honestly, no, but the carp I saw on that session were absolutely incredible, and they were big, but very wise. I was putting bait in, and it was as though they didn't even recognise it as a food source. And I ain't joking as well. They were dropping down on it, and they were feeding at the side of it. Now, I've seen that before on places where that don't see a lot of angling pressure, what I've got carp in, especially when the big ones. And what I think that is personally myself is I think that when you're putting that bait in, and you're putting crumb in as well as all baits, is I think that crumb attracts stuff like crayfish, freshwater shrimps, even bloodworms, and a few other aquatic, more so tadpoles. If you've ever put boiling crumb in and these tadpoles in a lake, you see that you end up with a bowl of it's like a black mass feeding over the crumb. Now, I actually think personally myself that what's happening is all that aquatic life feeding on that boiler crumb. The carp obviously recognise certain food signals in the bait I put in because there's bloodworm in it and that. But back then I weren't using bloodworm in any of my mixes I did. They were solely banoffee and tutti frutti, pineapple, fruit baits. There was fruit baits. And I think what happening is it had pulled all that aquatic life in that were feeding on the crumb and everything, and the fish were onto it, and they were taking the insects that were feeding on that crumb, and that's the sole reason that they were sucking them in, and out through the gill plates were coming the boilies. I think they were taking the tadpoles and the shrimp, bloodworm and the other stuff in, and blowing the boilers back out. It's I've seen it too many times for it not to be the case. It's I really do think that is the case. I think the aquatic life is feeding on the boiler crumb and the boilers, and it's attracting carp in because you've got bowls of natural food like them tadpoles. A bowl of tadpoles, of carp muller tadpoles, they muller them. And I think it's one of the reasons that zigs do so well at certain times of the years. Like now, at this time of year, just in a few more months, you'll start to see a lot of tadpoles. Now, I think it's the reason that you will do well on a zig at this time of year, but not just, you will catch just on a surface, but if you're fishing just off the deck by say 6 inches or so, you will find that if you notice tadpoles in there, you will find that they hit it because they're thinking it's a tadpole. Now, all I do with my zigs, what I tie is I use a piece of black foam, and then I'll trim the head down with a pair of scissors so it goes to a point. and then I whip a piece of pheasant tail, onto it that's been dyed black, so it kind of takes it just looks like a tadpole. And the amount of fish I've had on them has been incredible over the years. It's been a great bait for me. Now, I know there's a lot of krill going into Rother Valley at the minute. There's a hell of a lot of krill going into Rother Valley, so that's just through me. I've not been up to no anglers. I've not done anything. I've just looked, and when I'm on Rother Valley, people don't even know I'm on there. But take my word for it, I'm looking, and I ain't looking at what the angler's using, his rigs or anything. So I'm solely scanning in front of their bivvies to see what baits they're using, and most of them are using sticky baits. Sticky baits krill. And I'm even looking for the name on the bags, but majority of the time I can tell it's krill through the colour of the bait. So it's a bait that I'm gonna go in with, but I'm gonna use an upbait, a krill upbait, and krill bait on one rod, which will be the whale's breath. But on the other rod, I'm going out of the two rods. I'm going in with the method I've always used on there, and that's through baits. So it's gonna be that the whale's breath on one rod. That's the whale's breath, by the way, guys. Now we're getting into 6 week with these, so the people that are saying that they go off, then they ain't listened to a word I'm saying, and that is add rock salt to them, the baits do not go off, and the baits remain soft, because they was rolled and took out before there was a but these baits were took out before, I think about them for about 1.5 minutes instead of 2 minutes, so the interior of them was slightly soft. Now they were done like that on purpose, because I know when you add rock salt the baits get hard. These baits are still soft to the touch, so you will get a bait needling, but they are harder than normal pop-ups. So for nuisance fish, they will leave them alone. The other thing what I've noticed as well is bream do not like pepper or salt, but you will still catch them, but not as many. But they do not like it. So there's a fair bit of black pepper in there as well. Now it's definitely the bait that I'm really hoping does well on there. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, I think the fruit baits will outfish the krill, no problem. And we will see how we go on. But I know 100% that the fruit baits will outfish the krill. I know it will, and I know that I'll do well on there. I always do, and I'm looking really forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the walk from the car park to Rother Valley, because I'm used to fishing from back of a car now with treating like, but it's got to be done, hasn't it? Now Richard, one of my mates, said I can borrow his barrow, and his barrows are a lot better than my barrow, so I will more than likely do that. But it's going to be interesting stuff. So I've just done these as well. Now they've been gloved in their in the coconut and mainline cell flavour. But they're really high nutritional bait. They've got a lot of goodness in them. Coconut, fish meal, they've got everything in there. They've got a lot of black pepper. The problem with mozzie is it's got a lot of bream in, but they're not like any other bream I've ever seen. They're not like the bream in treat, and they're big bream, really big bream. I don't think I've had one. I don't think I've ever had a bream under £8 from Rother Valley. They've always been really big. I've had loads of doubles. It's a place that does really well. So I'm really looking forward to it. So that's what I'm going to go in with, guys. I'm going to go in with a mix also of with those of you who are keen out will have noticed that there's also a mix in there of the pillars that I do, and also 16mm rounds. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to roll some 14mm baits, smaller ones, because while I'm baiting I want everything feeding. And by that I mean the bream, the tench. I want everything to be feeding, and that then makes the carp inquisitive, and the carp will come in there and the carp will start feeding. So it's not going to be long now, guys, until you actually see me on the bank instead of these. The reason for all these kitchen ones is obviously these kitchen video logs is because we've been through a COVID pandemic, and then I ended up catching the bloody thing. So and then I got told about that with my eye. So most of the stuff is to do with bait has been really just to help me through that, you know what I mean. But we're coming up now to the bank video blog, so it's something for you to watch out for. But the majority of them are going to be on River Valley as well. So the other thing as well is I've started another group, another format baits group on Facebook. Now I've only added about 6 people to it, and that's for the reason that I've added them 6 people is because them people I know are the kind of people that will not jump on any peg that they see me baiting. I can't do video blogs of me baiting and me with a marker float and spodding when there's people on my page that I know that's why they're on my page to see what I'm doing, and they're the kind of anglers that will jump on my spot. I know they are. So that's the reason, my sole reason behind that. A secret group is for just a few of us. And it's for that, but obviously there's not going to be much to do with treating on there. I'm still going to do treating because I've said I'm going to do it with Paul, and I'm also, Richard is a good mate of mine as well, and obviously he didn't do much on treating last year, so I'm hoping I can get him on treating this year. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think he will be doing majority days, so we'll hopefully get him to Langworth. But I've got big hopes for these. I really have, honestly. I'm really liking how they're looking as well. So anyone that's saying that these baits go off, no, they don't. Not if they treat right. You've got to if you read my post, then you'll know what I mean. It's about treating them right, and by adding rock salt. I've had loads of people said to me that will that rock salt affect any fish? Will it affect the fish when I'm catching, or will it hurt them? No, it will not hurt them, not in that quantity at all. It's if anything, it is beneficial for them. But the other thing as well is it is really, really appealing to them at certain times of the year. Just coming out of winter, right through until spawning, they will absolutely crave the stuff. To the point that I will be feeding it in. I've got chunk blocks for it. I order it in blocks, and I actually spam it out in blocks with the bait. So yeah, so that's where we're at. So it's River Valley, guys. It's River Valley we're on. Now, I'm not sure what River Valley is like. I will be perfectly honest with you, because I've been going either last thing at night to bait up, or very first thing in the morning before it's light. Now, I know that they've got all this new stuff going on at River Valley, all that park and all that. I know they've got all that going. Now, I'm not sure whether we're going to get more people walking around or what, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, it don't bother me at all. It's I get in my bivvy, and I get my bivvy door open, and I'm pretty close to the water, so normally I'll set up so people can't come round in front of me because I'm that near water. So I may get them coming to the side to me, but if they do, I'll just zip my bivvy door up. I'm very antisocial. When I'm fishing, I don't want people coming up to me, talking to me for hours and hours on end, especially when I'm fishing margins. It's just not my thing. I don't want that. It's to stand, and they always seem to stand right in the edge of the water when I'm fishing about 2 rod lengths out. Brain dead. It's a lot of them are anglers. In fact, 98% of them are anglers. So I don't understand why they do it. Surely they understand that he may be fishing margins, especially when his line's coming off his rod tip. His rod tip's here, and his line's coming off his rod tip like that, slack. You know what I mean? I'm fishing the margins. So if I'm antisocial with anyone, it's because I'm fishing the margins, and it's me even getting off my bed to get out of my bivvy, to get round to actually have a chat with you. It's potentially gonna cost me a fish, and I go fishing to catch fish. I don't go fishing, either catch fish or photography, and both involve quietness, and less noise. Even the noise of somebody walking past, to me, is too much noise. It's too much noise of stamping. If you've ever done any diving, you'll know exactly what I mean. Just how sound travels underwater, it's unbelievable. It's even footsteps are too loud for me. When someone walks past, I think, because of the noise, because I normally fish the margins. So that's just a quick one on that. So it's not me being antisocial, it's me being well, it is me being antisocial, but and I don't say I'm sorry for that at all. It's I go fishing to catch fish, and the whole reason I'm going to sit and sleeping on a bank for 48 hours is to catch fish. Other than that, I sleep in my bed where it's nice and warm. I've got a nice telly I can watch, and it's nice and warm. You know what I mean? I'm lovely and warm in my bivvy. Don't get me wrong, but it's because most of my fishing's margin fishing. But yeah, that's where we're at. So if you did get some of them, bang a bit of rock salt in with them. See how you go on this year. Right guys, I'll check you later. Have a good one.